Hi everybody, my name is Jodi Faith and I welcome you to the Talking Hats show, something that kind of helps us celebrate the many hats that we all wear in our regular lives. Well, today, as you can see, I have a very special group of girls who wear red hats as part of the Red Hat Society. I'd like for each of you girls to introduce yourself to our audience. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and life in Medicine Hat.
I'm Joanne Campbell.
And how long have you been in the hat?
In the hat since 1980.
Okay, and how many different hats do you wear?
Lots.
Tell us a little bit about what you do with your life.
Well, I've been married for 57 years. I have 4 kids of my own, grandchildren, 13 and 18 great-grandchildren, so they keep me pretty busy.
Nice.
And I just like to help people,
okay.
So I'm helping to take them to appointments and different things like that.
Okay, very good.
So,
and what do you love about Medicine Hat?
When we first moved here, we were moving to Saskatchewan, and we stopped at one of the restaurants on the highway, and I said to my sister, I said, wow, what a pretty looking city. I hope someday I can live here. And we put in a transfer for here with my husband's job, and we're here 5 years later. So we've been here ever since.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right, and here beside me I have Carol Aspinall. Carol, let's tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you said, my name is Carol. I am a mom, a grandma of 5, and a great-grandma of 4. Yeah, I too wear many hats.
Yes, you do.
I help out a lot of people, driving, taking care of things, taking care of dogs. I'm a crafter. My soul is crafting, and that's a really good therapy for me. And I just love to visit with people and talk to people and I'm just one of those jack of all trades and masters of none.
There you go. You do actually have a small business. People might feel like you look familiar to them, and you've done some crafting and teaching, haven't you, with that?
Yes, I had a little store downtown in the Arcade Plaza there for a little while. 3 years ago is when I first moved back to Medicine Hat, and yeah, it just wasn't in the right niche right there, and so I didn't have a lot of foot traffic, but it was out of the box designs is what the name of the business was. So I am working on gathering that back up and running it through my home and going back to teaching crafting and stuff. I also teach crafts with the senior citizens at the seniors' homes and stuff too.
Yeah, so you go in and actually they look forward to you
coming
in, and
they do. Nice. Yeah, they do. I just love them to death. There's so some of them call me their granddaughter or their niece or whatever, you know.
Isn't that wonderful? We're so old ourselves, but we get to be the young ones when we're visiting with those
That's
ladies.
That's why I love them so much.
Yeah. I know. That's my favorite part, actually, right?
Yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic bunch to work with, yeah.
Aw, that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Now, I saved Deborah to last. Deb, you can introduce yourself, but also let's introduce how we came to have this little Red Hat group that we have.
Yeah. Well, my name is Deborah Walker, and I moved to Medicine Hat 5 years ago from Kindersley, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And my husband came here to retire. Yeah. So I'm a mother of 3. I have 5 grandchildren, 8 and younger. The youngest one is having her 2nd birthday this next weekend. Nice. And so, yeah, and as well as for myself, wearing different hats. One of the things that I do is I'm also a Mary Kay consultant here in town. And so I just love that, and that's really exciting, and meeting new people. And I love to meet new people, and I was just talking to a woman today, and she said, you can never have too many friends.
Aww,
and
great.
That is so true, and that's one of the things I love about Medicine Hat, but also about Red Hats, is that you can't have many friends or too many friends. Like we just recently had a convention here in town, and I met women from Calgary, from Edmonton, from Regina, and from La Flèche, Moose Jaw, as well made new friends here in Medicine Hat as a result, and we've been at other conventions up to Mydale and met people from North Battleford and Saskatoon.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we're just making friends every place, and so that's fun. And so when I came to Medicine Hat 5 years ago, just after COVID, I joined a RedHat Society group here in town. And it was quite a large group of ladies. They've been together for over 20 years. And so that was great. And then I met you at a convention in Moose Jaw. And my mother knew you. And I had actually joined Red Hats for the sole purpose of being able to do things with my mother. And fun things. And so anyhow, she introduced us. You were moving to Medicine Hat, and so we decided to start our own Red Hat group here. And so it was just the two of us for a little while.
It was, yeah.
And now it has grown. I think we got about 10 people in our group, which is very exciting. And we're always looking for more because you can never have too many friends.
That is such great advice, isn't it? It is so true. And you know, one of the things that we've especially noticed is because we're not doing big events all the time, but we can just go for coffee. And it was really nice when we were starting out because I think we got to know each other a little bit better because sometimes there are only 2 or 3 around the table. So you're getting to know each other's lives, and we've done everything from, you know, giggle and laugh at the silliness of what's happening in our lives, but we've also shared tears and prayers for some of the situations that we've had. So it's been really, really neat. I wanted to take a moment because a lot of people don't get, what do we do? And this is a book that was actually written. Actually, there's 2 of them that were done. This is Sue Ellen Cooper. She's the queen of, we actually call her the Queen Mother, if you can imagine. But she actually wrote a couple books. Thanks, Carol. This one is called The Red Hat Society's Laugh Lines, and they're just stories of inspiration and attitude. But this was the original one, and it was called Fun and Friendship After 50. And a lot of people don't understand why the red hats, why the purple outfits. Well, it's based on a poem that had been written, and I've got it right here, so if you'll just bear with me, I'm going to read it for you. It's called Warning. And it says, when I am an old woman, I shall wear purple, with a red hat which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells. I will run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick flowers in other people's gardens. And I will learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go for only bread and pickles for a week, whatever you want. You can hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. And now we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street. And set a good example for the children. We will have friends to dinner and read the papers, but maybe I ought to practice a little now so people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple. That's a poem by Jenny Joseph, and that was actually how the Red Hat Society began. So Sue Ellen Cooper had a girlfriend who was turning 50, and she'd read this poem, of course, and so she bought her a red hat, and they went out to lunch, and then Sue Ellen turned 50 and the girl bought her a red hat. And this is literally the beginning of an organization that has seen as many as 180,000 chapters all over the world. And one of the things that I think I enjoyed when we were visiting with the ladies that came to the little event that we hosted, she had just been on a cruise. She had literally been on a British Isles cruise. She was the only girl from Canada that was on that cruise. But she ended up meeting like hundreds and hundreds of girls who were of the same mind, just wanting to have fun and be together with other women. And I think she sort of epitomized to me as she was sharing some of her journey. She's been very lonely in her life as a single woman. And, you know, often when your career ends, what are you going to do? Because that was your whole identity. Lots of us, our kids have grown up, our grandkids don't all live close or whatever. And so how to keep busy. And so really that's been the heart of what we're doing with our Red Hat group. We're actually called the Faithful Hummingbirds. And Deb was doing her research. She discovered that a faithful hummingbird or a hummingbird flock is actually called a charm. Yeah. Isn't that neat?
That's cool. And I love that. So I have a charm here today.
There you do.
A flock hummingbirds. So
yeah, it's funny. We have a friend in Moose Jaw, and she's always finding hummingbird things and sending them to us because that's who we are now. So that's been kind of fun. So there's a bit of a joke that when the Red Hats come to town, they will increase the economic stimulus or the growth, you know, because we all go thrifting and we love shopping and whatnot. And so that's been kind of a fun part. Eating is a huge thing. In fact, some of the advice that we receive in the book is that maybe we should always have dessert first, right? And we'll go out and just have dessert. We don't have to make any excuses about that. So there really are no rules to being a Red Hatter, but just having fun. So why don't we go around the table a little bit? Start with you, Joanne. What are some of the fun things that you've enjoyed being part of the Red Hat girls?
It's just, I love it when we get together. It's about a couple times a month, right?
Yeah.
And we do go for coffee and we can actually talk some adult talk to each other, not just kids talk to all the grandkids and stuff. But I just have met so many nice friends that I love it.
There you go. Wonderful. Thank you. We love having you part
and we
of
can
us.
call you up and call each other up
Yes.
throughout the month if we need just to talk to a friend. That's great.
That's awesome. Deb, what have you enjoyed?
Yeah, I just like the camaraderie, just being with other women. Laughing, being silly, dressing up. It's just like being, you know, like one of my grandchildren, you know, 6 years old or 5 years old, and you put on the hat. Sometimes then my grandchildren come over and they all put on a hat and they play around and, you know, do makeup. And it's reliving your childhood, but not as a child. But just having the same kind of fun and being silly maybe. But just enjoying yourselves and enjoying other people. And I find with Red Hats, I have met women that I would not have naturally gravitated to.
Sure, I would agree.
You know, and they have been very interesting. Gives me a whole different perspective on life and what other people are going through or thinking about or doing, and like Carol.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's a perfect little saying. You, Carol. How about yourself? What have you enjoyed?
Yeah, we met back in the day. Yeah. Doing trade shows together is when we met. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you know, it sounds kind of silly, but it was always a desire of mine to be a Red Hat.
Oh, I don't know that I knew that.
Because everywhere I lived at one time or another, I came across Red Hat ladies, and they always looked like they were having such fun. And because of my life throughout the years, I was a tomboy growing up, and then a mom and a grandma, and I was always taking care of somebody. My life was so serious. So I always wanted to be one of those ladies.
Aww, nice.
Yeah. And so then I met Deborah. And Deborah was telling me about how she was a Red Hatter.
Yeah.
And so I said, heck yeah, that's for me. I want to do this. And since I've been a part of this group, I have loved the friendship, the camaraderie, like you were saying. I love the fact that we can be silly or we can be serious when we need to be. But the fact that we can go and do fun stuff and just... And we meet so many people just walking into a place wearing our hats. You know, people love to seek us out and to talk to us and say, hey, you know, like I want to know more about you, or I've seen these around. What are you all about?
Yeah.
And we're about having fun and taking these final years from 50 beyond to have a great rest of our life. And that's what I love about this, is because it encourages that.
I love that. And it's absolutely the truth. We actually did an event, and I'm going to have Dave pull up some pictures, and you'll see we've got the Sunshine Trolley. There was a whole group of us, as Deb was saying, from Edmonton to Regina. They all came to Medicine Hat to help us kind of promote what we were doing as a very small, brand new group. We thought if we could just get out with a whole group of others and kind of pay back the hospitality that we've received, because we've been so blessed with some of the girls, especially from Regina and Moose Jaw. They've really encouraged us in starting this new group, and so they were excited to come, and we were excited to kind of pay back their hospitality. And so they came, and exactly what we had hoped would happen happened, as we ended up having people. We did our registration at the Medicine Hat Mall because, again, we often like to shop, but we've talked about it, and Deb's been really kind of key with that. She's really felt like we need to get out of our homes and out into the community for people to be able to see us. And that is exactly what happened that day. We had two girls came over to, because everybody was just registering, having a little snack or whatever, as we were just gathering for this little event that we were having over a couple days. And this girl and her sister-in-law walked up to us and said, "We want to be with you. We want to do what you're doing. We've been talking about needing to get out." And I love their story because, as happens with lots of us, our spouses might not be doing as well. There's caregiving and those kinds of things starting to happen in our lives. And we just need to carve out those couple very intentional opportunities to be together. And that's what our two new sisters have really, actually, I think kind of shown us too, is important, is to be very intentional, set a date, let's make a plan. And so if you have to have someone come in with your spouse, or you need to just, carve it that space on your calendar, right? You've made sure to do that. Because I think sometimes we say we're going to get together, we're going to try to go out, as girlfriends, and it just doesn't happen because of the obligations and that kind of stuff. So that's been fun. When we had the group here, we did the Sunshine Trolley, as I said. We also were at the Viner Center, and so we were able to show off kind of the facility, which people were amazed. In fact, there was one lady who said, "I should move here. This is amazing. You guys have no idea how amazing your Viner Center is." And I'm like, "Oh no, we really, really do." And we've used it a little bit as a clubhouse. We all go there for meals and that kind of stuff. And we were doing some music there that night, which was kind of special. And then we actually stayed at the Villas, which is a downtown hotel. And so some of the ladies were able to walk down to, Salvation Army, the different thrift stores, and just really showing off our city, which was actually pretty special too. So as we talk about the other things that we've watched, and we were just actually reminiscing a little bit before we started today, we've done some crafting events, and Carol, we kind of gave her a name. She's the Countess of Crafting. So we all actually get to kind of create a name for ourselves, or sometimes the queen and co-queen or vice queen will say, "Oh, I feel like she's a woman of justice." So this is Joanne. How do we call you? Do you remember?
Joy, isn't it?
Justice, Queen of Justice. I have you down as Queen of Justice, right? And of course, Deborah is Duchess Deborah. And so we just have fun with some of those kinds of things. But there is something attached to that, especially for Carol right now. So what I want to have the folks at home hear about is this amazing hat that you're wearing. And Deb, having known Carol for a little while, she had learned something really special about you. So go, Deb, tell us about this crafting that you did.
Well, we were just visiting, and Carol's birthday is in December, and so is Joanne. So Joanne had her birthday, and I had given her a hat for her birthday, and then Carol's was coming up at the end of the month, and we were just visiting one day, and she said, "I would really love to have what was it called?
Steampunk.
A steampunk hat. And I said, what is that?
Yeah, she didn't have a clue.
So she went and she showed it to me on her phone and Googled it. And I'm going, oh, okay. And afterwards I thought, you know, she's just gone through such a rough time in recent years. And I just wanted to do something special. So I thought, I'm going to take one of my older hats and I'm going to make a steampunk hat out of it, because I couldn't find a tall hat. I looked around town. And so that's what I did. I just took this hat and I Googled it and I looked and I went, I'm sure Michael's must have something. So that's what we did. I went down there. I found some of these little gear things, and then I got some bat wings here, and I had a flower in my house and it's made out of pine cones. So I just snipped that and put it there. And then I had some of this fancy little tulle because I thought she needed a little glitter in her life, and being a craft person, so I put that on.
Your son could
and so we went and we completed it, except I didn't have these glasses. And so it was funny. It was Carol's birthday party. We had a little party for her, and
you had the hat ready.
I had the hat ready. It was all ready.
You were going to present it to her.
I had no idea.
No, you did
And so anyways, I had talked to my son. He says, you know, I think with my son, who's 8, his Halloween costume had one of those glasses. Do you want it? And I says, yeah, find it, bring it to me. So he did. He walked into the house and he says, I have something for you. And this is the silliest. And she goes, oh, are you my gift? And he says, no, but here's these glasses. And so anyways, it was quite comical, and we all laughed about it. And he was a couple of different shades of red. And but anyways, yeah, so we just put that all together, and she was just so thrilled. Matter of fact, there was tears coming down, and I was so happy because it gave her such joy, and she's worn it all over town, even when it isn't a RedHat event.
Yes, absolutely. And it's fabulous, right? Yeah. I was going to, just because I'd pulled this up and I was thinking I should help people understand. So the steampunk was often set in an alternative history of the Victorian age or even the American Wild West. And there's been movies where they kind of pull those things out and whatnot. It's a retro futuristic technology or aesthetic inspired by, but not limited to, the industrial kind of steam powered machinery that we all know. And so it's such a silly, interesting little thing, but I thought it was just so, it actually made me so excited that Deb would deliberately go out of her way to do that for you. And I mean, it's kind of dreams come true. A lot of the RedHat philosophy is like, who told us to quit getting dressed up? You know, like who said we couldn't wear our high heels and our fancy jewelry? And I'll tell you what, some of the women that we have met are blinged out from head to toe. And I mean, it's just become kind of a culture that we're excited to be part of, right? So it was pretty special that you got to have something that was near and dear to your heart, but actually just showed the friendship aspect of life. And sort of a little sacrifice on your part to work on it and get it going. So
hard. It was exciting.
Yeah, it was super good.
Your son especially.
Well, and you know what? I think that's actually been kind of a fun part from my perspective, because I've been part of RedHatting for over 20 years. I was in Saskatchewan and we had a group there, and in fact, initially I told my girlfriend that I was afraid that it was a cult or something, because I didn't know. It was like kind of exploding all over the world, and I was like, I don't know what these people are up to. Well, we went on our own little investigative journey to a trade show where we bought for her shop like just a ton of RedHat stuff, because we realized it really is just a goodwill organization that just wants to have fun and encourage women to have fun. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of you all at home, and what I want to say is, you know, would you like for us to come for tea? would we be able to come and actually have a visit at your care facility or things like that? We've talked about the fact that we love going out and we would love to just bring our joy to you. My name is Queen Georgia Ann when I'm part of our Faithful Hummingbirds group. And as the queen, I can actually help organize, or Deb can help organize. So I'm going to give you my phone number. It's 639-339-1333. 639-339-1333. And you can invite us. We would love to come. We would come to your little tea. If you have a recreation director in your facility or your life at all, like, invite us to come. I can sing for you a little bit, and we can come and just bring our joy with us, because we want to keep spreading this joy that we've found, right? Yeah. So I don't know, Deb, you had made a few other notes. Is there anything else in particular that you were thinking?
You were talking about loneliness, and
Yes.
are women lonely today? And other than people who are single, once you've retired, you have a lot of your girlfriends or friends at work, but when you retire, that sort of distance yourself from them, because you don't have that one thing that you had in common before. And the other thing, but I don't think that a lot of women are as lonely as they are bored.
Right. There you go.
I think a lot of women are bored today. We're bored with the same old, like taking care of children, even though for some reason when our children grow and they leave home at 30, they still need our help taking care of them. I don't know. And then you have your grandchildren, and there's always things to do. There's always someone to care for, whether it's a neighbor, a friend, a family member, an aging parent, whatever, or maybe an aging spouse or partner. But when did someone say that we're not allowed to have fun? From the time as women, from the time we marry and have children, unless we're having fun with our partner or our children, we don't get to have fun. And so I think it's time. It's time to change people's views, change the world's views. And that was one of the things I was reading about the RedHat Society, is they are trendsetters. They have broke out of what we're supposed to be, and that now it's all about taking care of ourselves and having fun. That doesn't mean we ignore everybody else, but we need to put ourselves also on that list, at the top of the list, and take care of ourselves and just have some fun, and inject some silliness, some fun, some laughter, and not be bored. Like, sometimes we say, "Oh, I'm tired, I'm bored," and it's not that we're tired. We had 10 hours of sleep last night and took a nap this afternoon, but we're bored. We're just bored, and we want to go out and we want to do things. We don't need to go really shopping, because there's really not much we need anymore. But thrifting. I read this the other day. Thrifting is not shopping. It is taking care of the environment, recycling.
Yes, absolutely. That is absolutely. Yes. We're doing our bit for society right there.
And another thing I want to add to that too is that when you're talking about going out and having fun, it doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be organized. It can be something as silly as when I was talking to you about handing out a little Jesus or something like that, or going and just doing something silly, putting eyeballs on different things, and just to make something to make people smile, and that's what brings joy to me, is to see another person smile, and that saying about if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours, is so true, because once you share that smile, that opens that door, and that makes life sometimes more bearable for people.
Absolutely.
Than you. So just go out and do something, and think of you for once in a while.
I think it's what's been really interesting to me on that absolute philosophy. We see people being like gravitating to us when we're just sitting in a restaurant. All we're doing is having coffee and laughing over a joke or whatever. And you'll see a lady walk over and go, "Oh, you guys, this is so wonderful just to see you out." And it has created a moment of joy for them, right? Those are some of the ways in which that we've connected with new members, and we're always welcoming those. But there's also, you know, that at the end of the day, as they're walking out the door and we're all waving and we've just had this lovely chat, that they've really been, you know, just encouraged in whatever's going on in their life. Absolutely. I love that part.
Because everybody needs that little bit of something.
Yeah.
It sure attracts the guys too. I forgot to take off my hat when I went into the co-op one day.
Sure.
And there was a guy that was working in the co-op, and he says to me, "That is the most beautiful hat I've ever seen." And I didn't have this one on, but I had another one on with all colors on it. And he says, "I wish my wife would get into something like that." And I said, "Well, she can if she wants."
There you
Just,
go.
Absolutely.
I can give you my number if you like, and we can certainly fix that out.
There you go. Good, good.
But people,
But
even at the
you're
checkout
right.
and everything, they're
Yeah.
just, I love those hats and their colors, and it just makes them smile just to see us out there in the
it's
store
true.
and out in public. No, we're not.
Yeah.
We've always got a smile on our face.
Yeah. Well, and it is funny. I know exactly what you mean, because there have been guys that have been like, "Oh my gosh, you just look like a queen," or "Oh my goodness, they're opening the door and they're treating you like royalty." And it's like, "Aw, thank you." Yeah, it's been kind of fun. And I know my kids and grandkids are being inspired, like, to keep the joy and keep the fun in their lives a little bit too with it. You know, as the granddaughters get a little older and they kind of want to roll their eyes, it's like, "Hey, you can be a pink hatter. Even though you're not 50 yet, you can actually have a pink hat." Well, I get to Saskatoon a couple weeks ago, and my granddaughter's taken it a step farther. She's got pink hair. She's like totally gotten pink, and I'm like, this is so fun. So that's something that I do want to make sure that you hear from us, is that if you're interested in being part of us, you can start in your 30s and 40s. At really any age, we welcome girls to join us, but you don't get to wear your red hat until your graduation ceremony. And so literally when you turn 50, you get to trade in the pink hat for the red hat. And it was Queen Maria here. A lot of people in the city will have known their Red Hat group for the last 20 years. They've been out and about here. And she actually hosted my coronation for me. Cutest thing ever, because I have worn it and people are like, "Oh, that's so clever." She actually took a Christmas tree skirt.
Oh, that cape.
Yes, and she made me a cape out of it, and it's like the ermine. Actually, if you can see here, she's got her ermine cape, and so literally, yeah, it's hard for the audience at home to see it, but she took a black marker to the white trim and created this faux looking ermine trim on my coronation cape. And I mean, it's just the silliness, but it was so profound. And then I was just looking at it the other day as I was hanging it up, and she actually embroidered like a red hat on the front of it, so that it was very much what we were honoring with this red hatting thing.
You put
and
Mrs. Claus to shame.
Yes, it is no longer, has nothing to do with Mrs. Claus, but I just think that creativity and whatnot, and I mean, I'll tell you, just getting dressed, we're all being more creative than we would usually be, because we get to take it up a notch, and I know not everybody gets it, but I'm so grateful, and I just wanted to say that to you girls and to the new girls that we have in our group. I'm just so grateful for the time that I get to spend. I'm now working away a little bit, and so I'm looking at my calendar and trying to, oh my gosh, because we've intentionally set a couple days a week or a couple days a month where we are going to get together no matter what, and thinking, oh man, can I get home for this or that? One of the things that we have coming up is we are going to be participating with the Viner Vintage. It's a transportation project at the Viner Center, and they have classic cars. And so we are all going to be in these classic cars in the big Medicine Hat Exhibition and Stampede Parade. Yes, let us practice our waves. There you go. And just bringing that joy, you know, and just bringing that little burst of color. I mean, the fact that the book says, you know, that they're kind of with Jenny Jones's poem. It was written in honor of the life that they were living in the 1800s. There's so many rules that women had to live by, you know, and one of the things that she says that I'm going to learn how to spit. Well, we started hosting a sunflower seed spitting contest at some of our events years ago in Saskatchewan with my friend Betty Ann Talon. She was the queen of our group, and we were actually doing what we called RedHat Olympics, which included, you know, how quickly and how far you could actually spit this portion of sunflower seeds. It's ridiculous, but it was funny because we actually then were talking about the fact that, isn't it true, like women have never really been allowed to spit. Right? It's something that, you know, etiquette would say, well, you just don't do that. But here we turned it into something silly and fun. And it's actually kind of one of our traditions that we'd like to live on a little bit with, right? So next time you go to a Mavericks game or something and you got sunflower seeds, you think about it, just a little bit more empowerment. I think empowering women is a big part of what we want to do too. I think that I love when younger girls come alongside of us and they say, man, do I want to be you when I grow up, you know, because they're already feeling the obligations and the responsibilities of life, and they see us as just carving out a moment of fun and joy, right?
Like what I was saying earlier,
Exactly.
with seeing the red hats back in the day and going, gosh, I want to do that. You know, they look like they're having such fun no matter what. They were just walking through Echodale Park one day when I was working in Echodale, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, like, I want to be you when I grow up.
I love that.
But you know what? I'm never going to grow up. And
well,
this is where
there is that, right? That is one of the options, right? But I think, too, Deb mentioned it, too, you know, we can get into just kind of being bored with our lives, you know, like, and I love my husband, and I'm happy to sit beside him, but watching, you know, TV and, you know, like whatever, it's just like, I can't believe this is all I'm doing with my life, you know. And so to deliberately decide, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to just have a little bit of extra girlfriend time. It's really what it's right.
Include them in the husbands and the partners. And quite a few things that we do.
We are doing that with our group because we do have a couple of our girls that work full time, and they're not able to be with us in the middle of the day. They want to be with us in an evening or supper event or whatever. And so I understand sometimes you want to bring them along, and our guys are getting to know each other a little bit that way. And so that's been kind of nice too. Anybody else have any other thoughts that you want to share before we kind of say farewell to our audience today?
Well, you know what? Basically, I want to say if anybody is even feeling alone, not just lonely or bored, but if they're feeling alone, look us up. Absolutely. You know, I mean, sometimes you need to give yourself permission to go and have fun.
That's it.
And that is so important in this day and age right now, with so much sadness and hurt and everything around.
Yes.
That having fun with a few friends like you guys, like, I so look forward to the days when we can get together. Even if it's just coffee at Tim Hortons or wherever,
right. That's
you know, and that's important, I think.
Absolutely.
And another thing that I really enjoy is I'm a big hugger, and my whole family are actually, and so we get to hug whenever we want, or when we see somebody that we know looks lonely, I often will just say, "Can I sit with you to have coffee?" Because I hate drinking alone or having meal alone.
There you go.
And they'll say, "Oh, please join me." And I don't even have my red gear on, and then when we leave, I often say, "Can I give you a hug? I just really need a hug today, and I think you do too." You know, it's so I make them feel comfortable doing that.
The red hat isn't just the hat; it's the heart.
It's the heart. It just enlarges your heart for sure.
And I think everybody needs an excuse to get dressed up.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, we don't, there was a time in our lives when we were much younger where in our society people got dressed up a lot. They wore the ball gowns and they wore, you know, fancy dress and suits and stuff like that. And now we're very, very casual. But sometimes it's just fun to get dressed up and put on your big red hat or whatever. Like
Yeah, because we
fascinator.
do wear fascinators. If you see us out and about, it's not always the big hat. We have fascinators and feathers and boas and all sorts of things that can accompany our outfits. But you're right, Deb. It's fun.
It's just fun. It's fun to get dressed up. It's like, you know, when you were a little girl and you got that dress, and having a dress for the sake of it having a dress is one thing, but having the dress that had the big skirt that twirled.
There you go.
You just look at a little girl with a big squirrel. They got these love to go around and around and around, just to make that dress float up. And as a growing woman, I love to just dress up and put that big red hat on and go out, and it attracts the attention, but it just makes me feel great too.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So feel free to join us. Feel free to reach out to us. You've got my number, and we really are an all-inclusive group of women just wanting to come alongside other ladies to have lots of fun, and maybe you have a good idea as to where we could go or what we could do to join you somewhere. We're more than welcome to do that. So, hey,
absolutely open to go and have coffee anywhere.
Anytime, anywhere, absolutely. So on behalf of the Faithful Hummingbirds in the Medicine Hat RedHat Society, we're really excited to say thank you for letting us in your lives. Cheers, to the friendship and fellowship. Thanks for joining us.